you've requested medical records from a hospital system, a colleague, or another provider, and you've received those records. The question is, are those records now a part of your medical record? Well, the short answer is yes. In one form or another, you requested those records with the intention of reviewing them and making a determination that uses the information contained in there. Whether or not there's information that actually altered your decision-making process, your diagnosis, your treatment plan is really irrelevant. If you found nothing in there, then it confirms. Or if you found something, it may confirm or change. And so regardless of how that is, if when you receive those records, they're used to help you make your determinations and they become a part of the medical record. Now, this extends then to when you receive medical record requests. And in those medical record requests, that is now a part of your medical record, and you would also send those. Now, it's very important when you receive the request, sometimes they're very intentionally worded. Make sure that you follow those in the intentionality of that wording and follow that wording exactly, because you remember you're supposed to send only what is minimally viable for that particular request, and so you want to make sure that you get that covered. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule about redisclosure. So when you get that request, yes, you can redisclose those records along with yours, except for in a couple of cases, federal and state differentials. Now, on a federal standpoint, there is a limitation that's placed on that redisclosure, and that is for alcohol and substance abuse records. So if they've received treatment, therapy, whatever the case might be for alcohol and substance abuse, those records would not be able to be redisclosed. Instead, you would not disclose them. Now, what's important to know in that respect is the notes that you would receive would actually come with a note telling you that you're not able to redisclose them. Okay, so that'll make it abundantly clear from you from a federal standpoint. On a state standpoint, it's a little bit different. State actually restricts mental health and developmental disabilities. So mental health and developmental disability records from a state standpoint cannot be redisclosed. So that is really important as well. Even though you may have used those in your judgment, they are a part of your medical record. In this particular case, due to state statute, you're not able to send those on to another requester. Now, there's exceptions to both the federal and the state restrictions, and that is if the patient has given you explicit permission to share those records in those instances. In those cases, of course, the patient can waive that exclusion and waive those confidentiality rights and ask you to send them. And that can come in through a variety of different ways, whether it be through a standard authorization that gives you explicit permission to share those records, those redisclosed records in those particular exclusion areas, or a right of access, whatever the case might be. But in any of those cases, make sure you pay very close attention to the request, pay very close attention to the permissions that have been given, and know that those are the restrictions that are in place. But yes, you can redisclose. Yes, they're a part of your medical record. Hopefully this information helps you out, and we'll catch you next week.